Oh, we're here in Bath sharing information about 5G. We're finding that a lot of people still don't know about the new technology, and we're particularly sharing information about a mast proposal for the Larkhall area of Bath. Well, there's been about 10,000 studies done on 4G and other EMF radiation, electromagnetic frequencies, and the pulse nature of the radiation has been shown to cause biological harm to many different systems in the body. This science isn't being reflected in the government guidelines of safety.
Back in 2012, the Bio-Initiative report came out, and that was reporting on the ill health effects of non-ionising radiation. The person who's done the most research is Dr. Martin Powell. I think all his research has been peer-reviewed. Well, I think it affects the whole biosphere. That's humans, animals, and plant life, and insects as well. If you talk to government or the wireless industry, they would tell you there's no science there, but that's not quite correct. There is ample science there, and the science goes back at least 10 years on this. Public Health England get their information from a body called ICNIR. That stands for the International Commission on Non-Ionising Radiation.
And they produce a set of guidelines based on a review of the science, and at the moment it's 20 years old, and also the non-thermal effects of radiation aren't being included in these guidelines. The guidelines only include the thermal effects, the heating effects, over a period of 6 minutes, whereas the NTP study that finished in 2018 has given scientific proof that there are non-thermal effects that happen at well below exposure levels that cause heating. So we're campaigning for the latest research to be included in the guidelines at the very least.
Well, 5G is actually on a number of frequencies. There's a big thing about 5G being on millimetre wave frequency, which it will be, but it will also be on sub-6 gigahertz frequencies as well. So 5G is basically a whole methodology, different methodology from 4G. We think the danger is actually in the pulsing. So the thing to do is not to get too hung up on the frequency or the power behind the signal, but the pulsing and the repetition rate of the pulsing and the waveform and the type of waveform. We think that's where the real danger is done.
The government and the telecoms policy have got a heavy investment in rolling out this technology, and it's my belief that that's why they are rushing to market to sell their product, and they are not being awake enough to these considerations. I think we saw something very similar with the smoking story, how the research about the link with cancer was ignored for a long time. And we know that the industry actually promoted raising doubt in the population about these effects for a long time, until finally the regulations caught up. I think we're in a very similar situation to that with this technology. It's very difficult to find the real information about this because of all the different presentations of what's true, and especially coming from Public Health England. They are very much communicating a message that they have it under control with their guidelines, and as long as we stick within that, all is well. And it's not the case, and so we just need to share the information in a very calm and rational way so that people are informed, and then we can then press on the regulatory bodies to update their guidelines. In Bath, on Christmas Eve of all days, an application for a 5G mast was lodged at the council for a mast to go up in Larkhall Athletic Football Ground. The mast at the moment there is a 4G mast, and the proposed increase in antenna on the mast is like 5 metres higher. It will be above the tree line and be able to be seen in the wide area around. The mast is within 260 metres of 2 nursery schools, and the mast is right on fields where children will be playing. Now, children are far more susceptible to radiation even than adults, and they're developing neurological systems, and their thinner skulls mean that, again, the guidelines for safety aren't applicable because the safety levels are set for adult bodies and not children bodies. So we're very, very concerned about the thought of young ones and children. And also there's the allotments there, so the wildlife and the bees and the birds in that area will be affected by this radiation. And we want to make as many people aware of this as possible. EE website is showing that the 5G is turned on in this area. We've yet to investigate this further. It seems rather strange that the 5G mast is just being put up and they're claiming that it's turned on already, so we need to look into this and really find the facts.